started noticing he was a little bit lethargic and a little bit forgetful, and we went to the doctor, and I remember explaining not very well to this doctor about, he'll sit on the couch and watch football and fall asleep, and I'll ask him to unload the dishwasher, and he'll forget to do it. And the doctor said, "So he's male? Is that?" I'm just kidding. No, I don't think that they actually said that, but I remember them saying, "Well, that doesn't sound like anything medical to me." And so we went on and saw a couple of different doctors, and finally, after maybe about a year, Martin was we finally found some news. Unfortunately, the news was that Martin had a brain tumor, and that's just always heavy news anytime, but I think so early on in marriage that's just tough. And so we went through the process of finding out, what needs to happen next, and he had some surgeries, and it was kind of a sweet time even in the midst of all that. The doctor had said, for the first couple weeks it's going to be like scrambled eggs upstairs, so just be, that's very normal. And for Martin, I wondered, I was worried that he wouldn't remember who I was, and so I remember when I first walked into the hospital room and got to see him, and he was like, "Oh, Laura Story? What are you doing here?" And he remembered who I was, but he totally forgot that we were married. And we had dated in high school and then broken up, and then I think he just forgot about the part where we got back together and got married. And this happened several times, like over and over again, and I'd have to say, "Well, I'm here because I'm your wife," and he'd go, "We're married? Yes!" Which is really, really good. It totally could have gone either way, And so, and that could, I'll tell you this too, that continued to be funny on, especially the first night we got home. I remember coming into the room and crawling into bed with Martin, and his eyes getting really big. And him saying, like, I could tell he was just dumbfounded. He just said, "I appreciate you wanting to look after me, but this is not appropriate." So even in the midst of all that, he was just such a man of integrity about the whole thing. But I tell you all this because I bet if I ask, every one of you in this room, you could probably tell me something about your life that has looked a little bit different than you expected. You know what I mean? Or maybe it's just me. Is it just... And sometimes God just has a way of having different plans than us. For me, I had a great plan. I just needed, I'd written it out for him and everything. I just needed him to sign off on it. It doesn't really work. And I feel like the past 5 years have been me coming to terms with saying, not my plan, but yours, God. Pretty familiar phrase. And for us, it's been, we've been blown away by the amount of healing we've seen in Martin's body. I mean, he truly went from, he had the surgery and then had some complications, and the doctors had said, "Yeah, he's just probably not going to make it. We're so sorry." And then we started seeing him get better, and just out of the blue, got better, and was out of the ICU in about 6 weeks, and then in a regular room for 2 weeks, and then went on. He got discharged and sent to a rehab facility where he was going to learn to walk again and learn how to talk and use utensils. And I remember that first night being together at a dinner table. We hadn't done that in months. And he was cutting his spaghetti, and he saw that the person next to him had some Parmesan cheese, and he was like, "Cheese, cheese." I was like, "Oh, he remembers that he likes cheese on his spaghetti." So I was like, "Hey, can I get him some cheese?" And they brought the cheese, and he opened up the packet and put it in his milk. Started stirring it up. And I thought, okay, cheese milk. That's not exactly what I envisioned for our lives. But I can get used to this. No, but really, we've seen just an enormous amount of healing. And Martin is, he's fully functional now. And we're just so grateful. Yeah. So grateful to the Lord. But I'll also tell you that there's some areas that we haven't seen healing in, and we're still praying for that. And that's tough as believers, that I remember telling God, I've grown up believing my whole life that he's all powerful. I've grown up believing my whole life that he's all good. And so in my mind, that should fit together and mean complete healing for my husband. And I've told him 1,000 times, God, I know you can heal Martin with the snap of a finger. And I promise to give you every bit of the glory. I feel like every time he answers back to me, but Laura, what if it's a process? Are you still going to give me the glory in the midst of that? Yeah, and that's a hard road to walk. And I share that because this is a song that doesn't offer very many answers. I wish I could tell you why things haven't been completely fixed in my life. I wish I could tell you why they haven't been completely fixed in your life, because I'm sure out there's a lot of illnesses that haven't been healed, and marriages that you prayed would be reconciled, and for whatever reason they weren't, or kids that wandered off from the Lord and just haven't come home yet. And that's hard. And sometimes God's plan does not look like what we would want it to. But I'll tell you this, it doesn't mean that there is not a plan. And it doesn't mean that he isn't just as faithful in the midst of the chaos as he is when we understand everything. And so this is a song about just looking for the blessings in the midst of the storms.